get is y'all don't know anything about racing. This is true. You're right. You're in the wrong show.
Yeah.
You're watching the wrong show if you want to hear like super engineer stuff.
And honorable mention, Alpine, because hello, French Revolution.
Listen, when we figure out the new intro, we're gonna have to keep that in there though somehow.
The French Revolution.
For sure.
French Revolution part.
For sure.
At least shout out to Moni who has completely abandoned us, but whatever. Let's throw her under the bus a little bit.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we can keep that in, man. I don't know.
You're right. She might have to.
You got to keep that in there. It's history. It's history.
I have to send this show to her and see. Look, see what you're doing. You see what you're doing, right? Anyways, welcome back to Hitting the Apex. I feel like it's been a while. Has it been a while?
It has for you. Evan and I show up to work.
You're right.
Oh,
This is true. Oh man, but
Jazz is too busy fighting Florida State fans. You know, he doesn't be on this schedule.
Too busy being an internet Twitter superstar.
nice.
Yeah, man. Listen, pretty wild one over in Sao Paulo this past weekend, huh? Some surprising, some surprising podiums, some interesting storylines. I think it's all around. It was just a little bit of a shit show, I must say. So here we are, though. We've got a little bit of a break before we get into Vegas and finish off in Abu Dhabi. Potentially, who knows? Maybe Abu Dhabi gets canceled. That's for a later show. But yeah, I mean, going into the end of the year, I think that F1 needed this race, right? A little bit of craziness going on. I know at the end of the day, Max still won the damn thing, but oh God.
I wish you was going to say something.
Now's not the time.
I'm not saying anything, man. I am not saying anything.
I am an internet superstar, and I cannot handle this right now. Oh, Jesus. That's all right. You know what?
Couldn't resist.
Yeah, we can't all be perfect there. I get it, you know. anyways, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The start of that race was just bonkers. It was kind of crazy, and no thanks to
Your
the
boy sliding out before the.
I mean, he wised up. He's like, these guys are going to run into each other. I'm just going to remove myself from this and
why not?
Go.
I'm gonna back out before the start of the race.
There you go.
I want to get your take on the race as a whole, Vish and Evan. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Evan. Go first.
I mean, the start of the race was something that is incredible to see. You know, Leclerc having a hydraulic problem before the race even started. I mean, that just shows the level that they're at right now, you know, with that car. They can't figure it out, you know, having problems like that right before you even do anything to the car. You're going left and right to try to warm up the tires, and the thing spins out like there was no tomorrow. You know, but other than that, it was a really good race. I mean, there was a lot of good overtaking throughout the entire race. You know, that the final 10 laps between Alonso and Checo was ridiculous. Don't add it like, you know, heavyweight boxers just with moves left and right. And, you know, overall, you know, like I said, it was just a solid race. It was a fun race to watch, but it always is in Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is a track that's like that. You know, these guys all know this track like the back of their hand, and they have fun there. You know, it's one of the tracks that they actually enjoy. You know, every single driver, you won't catch a driver in the entire field that's going to say that they don't like it. I mean, hell, Lance Stroll had a good race. And if Lance Stroll could have a good race, I mean, that just shows you that anybody can have a good race there.
That was pretty wild, bro. That Lance Stroll was up there. There was no chance for him to be better than Fernando Alonso this time around, but he was.
I did nail that prediction a couple of weeks ago. So
he
DNF'd after Alonso did. So that race, but for me it was the Mercedes was so bad.
What happened to them?
Yeah, they were slow.
They were very slow. Well, one of the things that happened is I think it was a sprint race weekend, which means you only get the one shortened practice session, and then your car setup is locked in for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah,
they got it wrong, and then they had to live with it.
Yeah.
And in particular on the straights, they were just you can't play. This is actually Evan and I talked about this last week. You know, it's a long uphill power straight.
Right.
If your car's not set up for that, you're going to get eaten alive, and that is what happened. They were way off the pace. I think you know, based on what Toto said, they've given up on this car design entirely. I think they're going to start over.
I think they did.
Yeah, basically, like this is not salvageable. I think that was the tipping point.
Yeah, they're done with it.
Are you both? I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you both?
Yeah.
Are you both surprised, kind of where Pierre Gasly ended up finishing, you know, ahead of some of the guys like Lewis? I mean, Pierre, not only Pierre, but Yuki up in the top 10. It seems like was it a matter of them performing well, or was it just, I mean, everybody else performing bad? I mean, obviously, I got mine right. DNF for George Russell, baby. Let's go.
Stole my pick and then used it against me. This is low, man. This is low.
But surprising there to see Pierre. I mean, I know that actually both Alpines finished in the top 10, which was a little bit of a change for Alpine, considering all the issues that they've had this year with reliability. Nice showing by Alpine this time around in Sao Paulo. I mean, what's your take on Gasly and the way that he performed this weekend? Evan,
overall, yeah, I was gonna say like that car's got speed in it. We saw it early in the year. You know, that car's got potential. They just haven't really developed it as much as some of the other teams have. And this just seems like a race that maybe they were confident in their setup. You need a good amount of downforce for this track, but not a lot of downforce. You just need enough to be able to get through that middle sector. And you know the cars like the Williams, you know, Logan Sargent in 11th place, like the Alpha Tauris, you know, Yuki on 9th. You know, those cars are fast in a straight, and they do have the capability of you know, pushing through and being able to have good days on these, you know, a little bit higher speed tracks, which is something we talked about before. And, you know, again, with those Alpines, as long as, you know, everybody else is making the mistakes, they have the opportunity to be up there. You know, and that's what happened this week. You know, you had the 3 cars out within the first lap. You know, you had a couple more cars. I think basically there was only 12 cars in total that actually were in the lead lap at the end of the race. So I mean, you got 12 cars in total. You're you know, in what was it, 10th and 10th and 7th place. You know, you're up there. It's good. I mean, that's where you should be. You know, so I think that's kind of where they are in this position. They're like almost at the best of the rest. You know, the best of the mid pack. You got, you know, your Red Bulls, your Mercedes, your Ferraris, your McLarens, your Aston Martins, and then is the rest. And you know, you have, that's where Alpine is there at that point.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Vish. I was going to tell you something else about the top 3, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, just real quick on Alpine, and then I'll throw it back to you for that. I think the part of this is just the Mercedes was so bad. Like, I mean, Gasly breezed past Hamilton. Normally, if an Alpine overtakes a Mercedes, you're like, whoa. This kid's just like, well, that's the latest car to do it. So, and then obviously with Leclerc's issues on the formation lap, there were less competitive cars out in front of them, and they took advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, number one, that's the most disappointing part for me, right, was the fact that the Ferrari was performing pretty well that weekend, you know, during the weekend. And, you know, it's just bad luck. It's obviously nothing to do with Leclerc himself. That's just, you know, the car and the reliability issues with the car. But aside from that, is it surprising to see Fernando back up in the podium? I mean, considering his struggles in the second half of the season, well, Aston Martin's struggles in the second half of the season as a whole. You got, not only did you get Fernando Alonso in the podium, but you got Lance Stroll finishing in the top 5 as well. Is that surprising to you guys, considering all the issues that they have had recently in the second half of the season?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean for sure. That car again, like I was saying before, is a fast car from the beginning of the year, but this was just another one of those opportunities where again you had Leclerc not doing great, you had or crashing out on the first lap, you had the Mercedes both having the wrong setup and not being able to run as fast as they really should have here, and those two issues, that's where you get the Strolls and the Gaslys and the Alonsos being able to make that push up there. But at the end of the day, Alonso just drove a great race. I know Lando, my boy, my guy, it got the driver of the day, but my vote went to Alonso because those last 10 laps were ridiculous. And that car still has pace. Maybe not pace to be up there in the on the podium every single race, but when the other teams all mess up, you take advantage of it.
What about you, Vish?
Yeah, no, I was very surprised that the Aston Martins had that pace, and obviously, man, our boy Stroll in 5th. Talk about that's my driver of the day. I mean, you got to give him his award while he's still in Formula One. So, I mean, top 5 for Stroll. It's definitely not than I had pegged there, and not really even being challenged by Carlos as well. Kind of just on his own in 4th. I don't know where that performance was hiding, but he pulled it out in Brazil. It was interesting. Like Evan said, it was closer to the kind of obviously the McLaren up there wasn't happening at the beginning of the year, but the beginning of the year was the Aston Martins and Red Bulls kind of up front, and other than Lando wedging himself into 2nd, that was kind of the same thing again here.
All right, so Evan mentioned his driver of the day was Fernando Alonso. Who was your driver of the day, Vish?
I just told you it's our boy Lance.
Lance?
Yeah, I go with Lance.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lance too, man. I'm gonna go with
boy.
Lance. I'm taking Lance Stroll with the driver of the day. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I mean, this might be your last Formula One years as a driver, so you might be a VP of something, or head tennis player for Aston Martin. You're definitely not. No, I don't know that. I'm just talking crap. But it's a good drive by Aston Martin, period, as a whole. So it's funny that we all picked Aston Martin drivers. Disappointment of the day.
Not to open up a fresh wound, but this almost felt like the UM game a few weeks ago where we fumbled the ball going in the 4th quarter. This was not so much as
we don't really
Aston Martin did so good. Think about it. It's not that they did so good, but that the teams that should have been up there fumbled the ball. The Mercedes and the Ferraris. They
we do the F1 show to not talk about that stuff.
Yeah, man. We're trying.
What's happening here?
Come on,
Evan. You're killing.
I think that's a great analogy.
Ugh.
You could have picked any other time a team blew a game, but you went right back to there.
That hurts, man.
Look at the hat. He turns the hat.
Unbelievable. All right, how do we recover from that in this show? Disappointment. Speaking of, what's your disappointment of the day there?
That Evan brought that up.
Yeah, that is.
That's my disappointment.
Good
That was a
Lord.
good.
Killing me here. You got Sarah on the chat saying, "Oh no." What are we?
Disappointment's got to be Leclerc.
Yeah,
It's got to be Leclerc.
It's Leclerc.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the race, you're on a formation lap. You're doing something that you've been doing since you were 3 years old in a go-kart, and whether it was the actual car or whether he made a mistake, I mean, I guess you could say if it was the car, then it's Ferrari's the disappointment of the day, but that's my disappointment. That should have been a lot better than that.
It's Charles Leclerc for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just not even starting the race.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could also say Carlos Sainz had a terrible start to the race as well. So he just looked like he was stuck on the road, but on the track. It is what it is. I think at this point the overall impact of the championship, obviously we talk about anything, from second place down, but
I will say that this weekend might have, I think Checo might have locked up second. Now it's hard to see Hamilton. It's now back
32 points, right? 32.
32, yeah, and he gained 8 points this week, and that probably did it with only 2 races left. It's hard to see
Yeah.
Hamilton making up that many
him
points.
him losing all those points in Austin really kind of losing the 18 points.
Yeah, the disqualification there, then followed by dropping more points here is.
Yep.
It is. That's probably it.
I think the biggest disappointment there is the drop of Ferrari, because they had some momentum going in where they could have hopped up in there. Either Sainz or Leclerc. They're both pretty close. I know Sainz has. I mean, the bigger disappointment to me is Leclerc with the DNF, and now you got Carlos Sainz with 22 points ahead as your number 2 driver.
Well, is he though?
Is he? Right, yeah, that's true.
Is he?
Question: is he the number 2 driver? But
and the good old constructors.
I think at this point it's a lot of these teams are really just kind of getting ready for 2024. I think at this point there's still some fight on the line with maybe Lewis trying to get after Sergio somehow.
It's gonna have to win. He's gonna have to win a race.
He's gonna have to win a race, or Sergio's
DNF,
and he's gonna have to be like P2 twice or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But
how about if somebody like Lando Fernando wins a race?
Yeah, I think that's still another battle, right? That's still going on right now too. Is
that could be 3?
So that would be huge for McLaren. You've got Lando's obviously one of the better drivers on the circuit as well, if you ask me. So I think it'll be nice to see McLaren kind of jump up and be able to maybe land in that 3rd place category in the overall championship standing. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean the most likely, like Ferrari and Mercedes are only 20 points apart. That's one to look out for, especially if Mercedes' performance this weekend is indicative of where they are for the last 2 races. Ferrari could get the 20 points back, and that's probably
the biggest one, right?
Yeah, because Aston Martin could also catch McLaren, but it's hard to. I mean, unless Stroll all of a sudden can perform, that's a different story. But this felt like a one-off versus something that we're going to see every week.
Right. Very true.
Yeah. Especially with only 2 weeks left.
Yeah, you have 2 races
and a
left.
track that nobody's been to. So.
Well, that could be a variable there.
Yeah.
Could be a variable. Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to watch. Right after what is it? Right after is it right after Thanksgiving?
Week before.
Week before Thanksgiving. You're right.
Yeah, I'll get the schedule up for that. It's obviously 2 weeks from now, but it is. I feel like it's like the schedule a little weird that week because it's the time zones. It's technically like not. Like it's at like 1 a.m. here.
Yeah.
Here.
10 o'clock is what, 9 or 10 over there?
Yeah, but I think it's not on. If I recall correctly, it's like on.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's Saturday night / Sunday morning. Like it's very weird. It's like a day earlier. Everything.
I mean, 11:30 is FP3, but it's really 8:30 over there.
Right, but what I'm saying is the 16th is Thursday. This is like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and this is technically Sunday, but it's really Saturday night in Vegas. So it's kind of weird. It's like a day offset than you would normally expect.
Yeah,
like race day is Sunday here by an hour.
Why'd they do that?
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It's like a day. It's almost like the races we get when they go and like race in Japan. It's like at 2 a.m, but it's actually Sunday afternoon there, which makes sense. Here it's backwards. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the 19th is Sunday, so it's Saturday night in Vegas.
Well, we usually say because Florida, right? But it's like because United States. Because USA.
I guess this is to get. I mean, I don't even know because that's not a good time in Europe.
10 o'clock race. Who the hell races at 10 o'clock? Jesus.
But it's also not a good time in because I think they're 5-6 hours ahead in Europe, so they're going to be. It's not a good time for them either.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock in the morning over there.
So I don't know who the target is for this.
Yeah, that's weird. You're gonna have to change.
You know what it is though? It's because they obviously were going to do it at night because it's Vegas. You're not going to do it during the day in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I guess in any event, it wasn't going to be. That's probably better timing for Europe than because anything else you'd move earlier. If you do it like at 8 p.m., then that's even worse. So
That's true.
So yeah, you gotta have the
Anyways,
lights. You gotta have the Vegas lights. So
We'll have a full breakdown of the Las Vegas Grand
of
Prix.
the square track, yeah,
Of the square. It's basically a square track.
the square track.
Yeah. On Bridgestone. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have a full breakdown for you guys next week on Wednesday night as well, and kind of set it up for the finale if there even is one. This could be the finale.
Wait, why is there? Would there something happen? Is it because
Well,
of the Middle East
Yeah,
stuff?
they have
Or?
mentioned that there's a possibility they could cancel it because of the conflicts in the Middle East, so that could be an issue. Which, I mean, having one in Abu Dhabi in the first place is an issue, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see if that's it or if they finish it off in Vegas. I guess we'll find out more next week. So
Yeah.
make sure you follow us on Twitter at F1_5 Reasons. Check us out here on the 5 Reasons Sports podcast. I'm sorry, podcast. I've been doing podcasts all week, right? 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Hitting the apex with Bish, Evan, and myself, Jazz. We will see you guys next Miércoles.